light and darkness crisscross. It got my crew pissed off. It's like my wrist off. I'm writing rhymes till time hits for my mind is a pure menace.
What's good, YouTube? Your boy Grave, and today this video is going to be about microtransactions, and what, as the gaming community, like, what are we going to do about it? Because apparently something must be done. These publishers and these devs, they're implementing these transactions. I think it's more of a greed thing on the publishing side, but more of a necessity thing on the dev side, and we're just going to talk about it. So obviously, if you love gaming or are plugged into gaming news at all in the last couple weeks, we already know about the EA Star Wars Battlefront 2 fiasco with their pay-to-win microtransactions. And let's start here. Pay-to-win is a no-no, okay? If you're a free-to-play game and you have microtransactions that are going to give a player an advantage over another, I think I'm a little bit more lenient on that, just simply off the fact that the game is paid to free-to-play. So if you're paying to get something that's going to help you in the game, we kind of have to set that off to the side as something that is an anomaly in and of itself, because these games are free, so they have to make money. The dev and the publishing company, a lot of times these devs that are doing free-to-play games, if I'm correct, I believe that they publish the game themselves, so they're trying to keep the lights on, they're trying to put food on the table. So if that's the case, we gotta live with that. I do, however, feel like if your game is free to play and it is competitively multiplayer centric, you should really try to minimize microtransactions in the places that are going to really promote a pay-to-win lifestyle or trend in your game, because that can definitely be it can really it can be catastrophic for your game. So that's up to them to decide, but like I said, free-to-play microtransactions are a must, so we kind of got to live with that. But when we're talking about AAA games coming from, huge publishers, microtransactions are almost what seems like a necessary evil. I've personally always been okay with season passes or DLC. I learned to live with it. I learned to live with pre-order bonuses and stuff, because you have to. I know that sometimes the season passes are egregious, or the dev and publisher are not on the same page, and the timetable in which these season passes are released don't warrant you purchasing them. For instance, I remember when I bought Crysis 3 for PlayStation 3. I love that game, and I bought the season pass for that game, but they didn't drop any DLC content for like 6-7 months, maybe 8 months, and it's like, dude, the game's already dead. So if you are going to do something like a season pass, if you are going to do something like one-off DLC or story DLC or a pre-order bonus, that's par for the course. I think that as gamers, we should accept the fact that DLC and pre-order bonuses are going to be, the way of the world. And I think that most people have already accepted that. And I think that that's one thing that as gamers we should learn to live with, definitely. Now on to microtransactions in those AAA games. If it's cosmetic or if it is not giving you an inherent advantage when it comes to multiplayer, because you know, a lot of these games that are doing this are multiplayer centric or multiplayer focused, or the multiplayer component of the game, a la Call of Duty, is the breadwinner for the franchise. So if you are going to do microtransactions, I think loot boxes are cancer, because you never know what you're going to get out of it. But if you have a system where you can, you know, buy something cosmetically for, you know, $3-4, or, you know, you can buy the, you know, the gun outright. Like I know in Advanced Warfare for Call of Duty, they had the loot boxes, and, you know, they had the variants for the weapons, and like there was this one variant of the ball called the Obsidian, and it was like that gun was just the face melter. It fucked people up, and the only way to acquire it was through loot boxes, which was tied to microtransactions, and that to me is just predatory. You're looking to stick your hand in my pocket when you don't really deserve it, and that's the issue that I think a lot of people are having, is that you're preying on us. You're not saying, hey, our game is worth this, you know, we would like you to purchase this as well as an add-on or whatnot. You're just saying, hey, without this, you can't compete, and that is never going to work, especially for competitive-minded gamers. That is never going to work, because anytime you take the skill out of something to give the edge to someone who is paying for it is always a bad look. It's always a bad look. One of my favorite games right now, NBA 2K18, they're one of the most egregious offenders of this. I wish that what happened to Battlefront 2 would happen to 2K, because what they did this year, and I mean, they probably did it last year. I didn't play 2K17. I didn't really like it. And they've been trying to implement it for years. But I was just strictly a My Career player, so I didn't really need to worry about it. Like, I mean, it did make it a little harder for me to grind in my campaign, but I didn't, you know, I really, it's kind of how you say, out of sight, out of mind type shit. But what they did this year in 2K18 was straight up and down rapery. It was straight up and down predatory, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says. The way that they implemented microtransactions this year, it was basically saying, bitch, give us money. If you want to compete, if you want to play, if you want to level up, you're paying, period. And I can't, and again, I am, full disclosure, I spent money on microtransactions, on VC, to level up my character. So it's not like I am immune to this and I don't ever do it. Like, I do it all the time. Or, I mean, I've done it in the past to feel like I can, you know, compete. Like, it's just, it's a bad feeling. Like, no one wants that. And it makes you feel dirty. Like, it just makes you feel like, wow, my skill doesn't really matter. What matters is how deep my pockets are. And that feeling, it just sours you over time. And, you know, even thinking about 2K18 is just like, what the fuck were they thinking? Like, and it's clear what they were thinking. They were thinking about dollars and cents. Now, with all that said, pay to win is bad. DLC, season passes, it's not optimal, but it's the way that they have been trying to gain supplemental income for their game, and the way that they've been trying to justify you spending more money on their game. So I said all that to say, like, what as gamers can we accept that will alleviate some of the stress from the devs, will satiate some of the hunger from the publishers, and that works for us. Personally, I would be okay with cosmetic microtransactions that don't force you to have to buy them. I would be okay with even raising game prices. Now, I know that sounds like blasphemy, and I know that, you know, trust me, I ain't Mr. Moneybags out here. Like, I am not getting it like that. Like, you know, I'm struggling just like the next everyman. I'm struggling every day to keep my family afloat, but gaming is my passion, and it's, you know, one of the things. I've been playing video games since I was 2 fucking years old, so, like, you know, it's a part of me, and it's who I am. And when back in the mid 2000s, when it went from $49.99 to $59.99, I remember feeling like, what the fuck, yo, like, I can't fucking afford this. But hey, like, honestly, it is a way for us to kind of alleviate the whole microtransaction thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think the devs would much rather not have to do that shit to us, but the publishers, they got a taste of that money. They tasted blood, and, like, they are frenzied for this money that microtransactions brings in. And it's, I mean, look at Take-Two. They're I think his name is Strauss Zelnick or some shit like that. I don't remember. The CEO of Take-Two. Every game from here on out that's published by Take-Two, we want to implement microtransactions. You know, they call it the, you know, what do they call it? The games as service. And that's fine, bro. But if you're going to do that, then you better make sure that Red Dead and GTA and Bully 2, let's pray for Bully 2, and, you know, any other fucking Rockstar, Take-Two, any of that shit, you better make sure those games are $20. Because if you're going to be implementing microtransactions, like, that's bullshit. Like, the GOAT, one of my favorite YouTubers, one of my favorite personalities in general, the GOAT, Kyle Moriarty, like, he just got back into gaming, and he made an amazing video that if I can, and if I can find out how to do it, I'll link in the description, where, I mean, he's talking about having games on a sliding scale. Like, would we accept that as gamers, where we aren't just fixed to a $59.99 price point? Now, obviously, indies and, you know, maybe older games, or, you know, some developers and publishers are kind of toying with it a little bit, but he was saying it's like games should not be on a set price point. If you feel like your game is worth $100, you should charge $100 for it. And he made a great case. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, that game, with the amount of content that it provides you and all the expansions that they put out afterward, that game is easily worth $100 to $120. Easily. Because you could spend hundreds of hours playing it. And I know that's not the best way, but I mean, it is something that I would accept, where I would pay anywhere from $10 to $100 depending on what I felt like the game was going to offer me. So I know that with all the recent things that were happening, we are really hypersensitive to this microtransaction shit right now, and for good reason, because we need to let these publishers out here know, like, bro, we are not going to just let you nickel and dime us for content that we feel is not even worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to stand up as gamers, because I heard a couple people talking, and I can't remember where it was. I know I just heard it in passing, that they were saying that gamers didn't get the win over EA, that it was more of an internal thing. And I don't give a fuck what you say. If we were silent, EA would have went on doing what they were doing. We would have had the pay to win star card bullshit right in the game, and no one would have said shit. We would have complained about it, but it would have been too late. So we can, and we do, affect what these publishers are trying to implement. And I feel like we need to have a voice at all times, and if we don't like something, we should say it, but we also should be open to the fact that we are going to need to start thinking about how we play and consume our games now. We are going to need to come up with a better option other than, well, bro, I don't want my game prices to go up, because at the end of the day, they're going to artificially go up anyway. One of my most anticipated games, if you were fucking watching this video right now and you don't know, Dragon Ball FighterZ is I am the most hyped for that game, period. And I'm spending $140 on the Ultimate Collector's Edition, or the Ultimate Edition, or whatever the fuck it's called. $140. And I am not getting content that is being given away in lower tier versions of that. Like, that is not acceptable. Excuse me. That is not acceptable. I don't give a fuck how you look at it. That shit is not acceptable. And again, Bandai, I'm up here. Like, the hype for your game is up here, bro. I cannot even be any more hyped. You guys are about to announce a My Hero Academia game. Like, you guys are it's a great time to be a gamer, and it's a great time to be a gamer that loves anime when it comes to Bandai Namco. Like, I have no illusions about that. But what you guys did to me and anyone else that purchased your most expensive edition of that game is you spit in our faces when you told us we would not be receiving that shit. And that is, again, things that we cannot allow. But I'm paying $140 for that game, bro. Now, it's not just for the game. I'm getting the little extra addeds and shit too. But guess what? I'm paying for that game, and then I bought the season pass as well. So you are getting money, guys. The devs, publishers, you can make money. You can make this feel worthwhile, because let's not get it twisted. Making these games is not something that just any Joe Schmo can do. You guys have a skill set that is bringing and providing millions of hours of entertainment to millions of people out there, and I fucking appreciate the shit out of that. I do. I appreciate that shit so much, because you're letting me be a big kid. I love games, and I will always love games, but we gotta have a conversation about this. We have to think about it in a different way. Now, if Bandai Namco would have said, bro, listen, Dragon Ball FighterZ is coming out, there's going to be characters that we're releasing after launch, the game is going to be $80. People would be like, oh my god, people would be pissed off. But guess what? If your game fucking puts up, people will shell out. Period. Okay? And I know that's not the greatest example, because, come on, I know everyone knows what Dragon Ball Z is, but not everyone is a Dragon Ball Z fan, and not everyone is a fighting game fan. But that game is going to sell regardless. And you might sell a lot of standard editions of the game, but you will have sales on that game. And the way that Arc System does their little thing where they have add-ons and shit, you will be getting extra income when it comes to that as well. So, I know I've been talking for almost 20 minutes. I know I kind of been all over the place, but if you feel what I'm saying, let me know. What would you be willing to do as a gamer to not see microtransactions proliferate the way that they have been, and to not see predatory or pay-to-win microtransactions in our games? And I'm not talking about DLC. I am not talking about season passes. I am not talking about pre-order bonuses. Those things are here to stay. Okay? Like, it just is what it is. Those things are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. And I personally have no issue with them. I don't mind it. Okay? I have no problem with that. But again, I would be willing to pay maybe a higher price for a standard edition of a game if the game is that good. If the game is fucking immaculate, you know, pristine, we might have to pay a little bit more money. But then we're also the devs and the publishers are gonna have to start looking at games on a sliding scale. It's not just $59.99, you know, and we're gonna have to have that conversation. And I'm not nearly smart enough to fucking know how to fucking put a whole solution together. But I mean, come on, guys, we're We're huge for the economy. We're huge as a community in general. We have to start thinking about a way that we can wash each other's hands so that we don't feel like we're getting raped out here. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know your fucking ideas. Obviously down in the comments. Let's have a conversation. What are you guys willing to do? What are you guys willing to budge on so that we can make games a little more palatable and a lot less predatory? That's it. If you're rocking with me, and if you've been rocking with me from the beginning, I fucking appreciate you so much. If this is your first time catching me, like, share, and subscribe. Your boy Grave is trying to do this out here, at least 2-3 videos a week. We're learning as we go, guys. So let me know what you think. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at BeyondTheGrave. And have a fucking good one. Graves out. Peace.